Is action figure grading a scam? If I get a bad score on this one, I'm just gonna shut the camera off. I'm gonna throw up. I just got some boxes back from grading, but I've been hearing from some collectors that action figure grading is a scam. Today, we dive into that. So let's see what grades I got as I get closer to my goal of collecting them all and grading them all. Is action figure grading a scam? So let's go. Welcome back to the journey. Grading times are getting faster and faster. And when I say faster, I mean by a month or two. And that's great, considering that when I started grading during the pandemic era, everybody and their mother was sending in figures to get graded. I think they even sent their mother in to get graded. I'm just kidding. Don't send any of your family members to get graded, especially your mother, unless they're action figures. During that pandemic time, wait times were about 7 to 9 months. No joke. But the latest thing I sent in to get graded, this took 2 weeks to get back. It was expedited, but this is an autographed mint-on card that I got signed by Ian McDiarmid at the 2023 ICCC Con in Nashville. And we're gonna open this today. But just before that, the bulk items that I sent in to get graded, those took 4 months. So actually, wait times have been cut down by 3 to 4 months. And that's because a lot of grading companies just focused on grading loose action figures or mint on card. They stopped grading bulky items or items that took a long time to put into acrylic. And they also stopped grading certain toy lines. But lucky for you, if you're a Star Wars collector, that line is still open, depending on when you're watching this video, that is. Your best bet is to go on any of the grading company's social media or websites and find out what lines and what types of things that they're grading right now. And if they have a Facebook or a direct number to call, just call them. They usually pick up. And today, we're getting items back from CAS, or Collector Archive Services. And all of these items I'm getting back, I actually show in an episode how I signed up for the grading company and how I packed them up and sent them. And now we get to see how I get them and what grades I got. So let's start with the mint on card that I got signed at the ICCC in Nashville. And I haven't looked at any of the scores yet. I mean, you can go online and you can check them out. I didn't do that. I like to be surprised, and hopefully it's a good surprise. So as I'm pulling these out, I don't want to see the score. And if you're used to getting stuff back from CAS, these guys package things really good. Although the popcorn does get everywhere. All right. I don't want to see the score. There's popcorn everywhere. Yeah, see, look, packaged up really nice. If you've watched this channel from the beginning, I always use cooking shears. And here's the statement of archival that it comes with. All right. Can you see it? Can you see the grade? I'll see if you can focus on that and see it yourself. So I got an 85. So I got this signed by Ian McDiarmid. Really nice guy, by the way. And let's read the scores. 2021 Hasbro Star Wars TVC, the Vintage Collection, VC 200. I wonder what's going to be VC 300. We still have to find that out. Return of the Jedi, the Emperor, signed by Ian McDiarmid. And these are the following grades. The card got an 85, the bubble got a 90, and the figure got a 95 for an overall score of 86.9. And one of these things I'm giving away. It might be this one. So let's put this to the side because we have a full box to open. And some of the figures I sent in are really hard to get good grades on. I sent in a Gamorrean Guard, a Stormtrooper in hot battle gear, Chewbacca, General Madine, Darth Vader, Boba Fett, the original Princess Leia, and my first ever mint on card that I've sent in, Lando Calrissian in Skiff Guard disguise. So I'm nervous about a lot of these. And all of them come individually wrapped and in a lot of popcorn. It's packaged really good. And here are all of the statement of archivals. I don't want to see them. I can, but I want to be surprised. Okay, so this is the Gamorrean Guard. I don't want to see the grade. I'm thinking that you can see it. I'm hoping that you can see it. All right, I'm going to check it out now. I got an 85. Wow. And I will take an 85 with these figures all day long. So let's read the scores. So this is a 1983 Kenner Star Wars Gamorrean Guard, Country of Origin, 4-line Lucasfilm Limited, and it's a Hong Kong, and the actual score was 86.9. The next one is the Hoth Trooper. This one is hard to get a good grade on because of how white the figure is and how easy it is for this figure to fade, especially the vinyl cape, which is very easily faded. I'll tilt it so you guys can see it if I'm holding to the camera right. So let's see the score. So I got an 85. Like I said, I'll take those grades all day long, especially on a figure like this. And as part of my rules on this grading run, I can't get a grade lower than 80. If I get a grade lower than 80, it can't go in my collection. I have to either sell it or give it away, and that's why I will take 85s all day long. I do have a figure that's a 75, and that's the AT-AT driver, so I do have to replace that one, but let's go over the scores on this one. This is a 1980 Kenner Star Wars Imperial Stormtrooper in Hoth battle gear, country of origin 2-line Lucasfilm Limited, and it's Hong Kong, and the actual score was an 85.4. So just on that 85 score mark. But again, I will take 85s on this run all day long. And for these figures that are hard to get a good grade on, I will definitely take that. Look at the size comparisons of the cases from the Gamorrean Guard to this regular size figure. The Gamorrean Guard has a big case. Okay, what is next? Oh, we got some that came in cardboard boxes. This one is Chewbacca, one of my favorite figures and characters of all time. When I got this as a kid, I played with it all the time. All right, I'm gonna hold this so you can see it, but let's check it out. Wow, I got a 90 on this one. This is only the second 90 that I've gotten on this run. The first one was the Dianoga Trash Monster, but let's take a look at this one. 1977 Kenner Star Wars Chewbacca, country of origin 2-line General Foods Fun Group Incorporated, and it's a Taiwan figure, and the actual score is a 90.3. But what a beautiful looking Chewbacca, and I love the way that they encase the blaster next to Chewbacca. That's just absolutely gorgeous. Super happy about this one, and we'll put this one to the side. All right, what is next? More popcorn. We have General Madine. Sometimes I say Nadine. Okay, can you guys see the grade before I do? All right, let's check it out. This is an 85 plus. So let's read the actual scores. So this is a 1983 Kenner Star Wars General Madine, painted face, country of origin, 2-line Lucasfilm Limited, Hong Kong, and the actual score was an 89.1. So just a few small smidgen points away from actually getting a 90, but I'll take an 85 plus. All right, there's another cardboard one. So let's see what this is. I sense that Lord Vader has made an appearance. Oh, it is. It's Darth Vader. I'm actually really nervous about this one just because I consider myself a Padawan. I am a Padawan. When I sent this figure in to get graded, I really had no idea of what I was gonna get based on the lightsaber and the lightsaber tips. I was really guessing when I sent this one in and hoping it would get above an 80. I really do hope I'm holding it up the right way so you guys can see it. All right, let's look at the grade. It's an 85. Wow. And you can see that the lightsaber isn't perfectly straight, which is why I was like nervous about it. But let's read the actual scores. 1977 Kenner Star Wars Darth Vader, country of origin 2-line General Mills Fun Group Incorporated, Hong Kong. Actual score was an 87.1. So about 3 points away from getting a 90, but an 85 for a figure that I was nervous about. And everything else about the figure is, I would say, is perfect. The cape on the bottom is a little bit kind of bent, but overall in great condition. An 85, I will take it. On this run, heck yeah. Oh, this one is Boba Fett. I am hoping I get an 85 plus on this one. I've always wanted a high grade Boba Fett. Ugh, and when I chose this figure, I thought this was the best looking Boba Fett that I had. Okay, you and I are going to be surprised at the same time, because I am not going to show you before. All right, and I'm being really, really careful not to see the grade, because I want my reactions to be, like, real. All right. It is, it's an 80. It meets the minimum. Oh man, at least I got an 80 and I don't have to sell it or give it away. But man, an 80. I was really hoping for an 85 plus. But like I said, I will take an 80. So let's see what the scores were. So this is a Boba Fett, the brown belt, dark green chest, country of origin, 2-line, CPG, and it's a Hong Kong, and it scored an 82.2. Man, so I thought this one looked pretty good, and it would get at least an 85, but man, I guess I have to compare these to other Boba Fetts that are higher graded. Man, I would love to take this to CAS and just ask them, like, go deeper on what was wrong with this figure to get an 80, but at least it goes in my collection. What's next? What's next? I'm really nervous about this one. This is the Princess Leia from 1977. These are hard to find in the wild in great condition just because of how faded they get and how easily they are to get scuffed. Like, her figure is white, her cape is white. Both are hard to keep clean and hard to have the figure not fade. Her face paint is hard to keep scuff-free, especially her eyebrows. And her black hair paint is hard to keep scuff-free. And the pictures that you're seeing are the pictures I took before I sent this in. This one, I'm really nervous about seeing the grade. If I get a bad score on this one, I'm just gonna shut the camera off. All right, can you see the score? Am I gonna like it? All right, let's check out the score. I'm gonna throw up. 85 plus. That was a score that I was really hoping for, but I had no idea. Like, this is really only the second wave of figures that I've got turned back in from CAS. I mean, the figure that I bought, I thought it was the best looking Leia figure that I had ever seen in person. I mean, her cape, her hair, her face, everything was just, I thought, immaculate. So let's look at the scores. This is a 1977 Kenner Star Wars Princess Leia Organa, country of origin, 2-line, General Mills, Fun Group Incorporated, and it's a Hong Kong. Actual score, 88.7. A couple of points less than that to get a 90, an 85 plus. I am so happy about this one. Actually, it is the last item, and this is the mint on card that I sent in. And I have no idea what I'm gonna get on this one because this is the first vintage mint on card that I sent in to get graded. Here's the statement of archival. It has the grade on it. I'm not gonna look at that. Let's just look at the grade together. It's an 80. An 80. I am super happy with getting an 80 because I genuinely feel that I am a true Padawan when it comes to mint on cards. Loose figures, I know a little bit more about those because I spent the last 2 years building up that case and curating that collection and researching the heck out of every single one of those figures. But mint on cards, that is another ball game for me. I have to learn everything all over again, from the bubble, the cards, the condition. So there is so much more that goes in when you're buying mint on card. You have to consider the card back, if it's the first debut or not. Again, like I said, there's the bubble, which this one is a little bit yellow. The card is unpunched. So let's read the actual grades. This is a 1983 Kenner Star Wars Return of the Jedi 77 back A, Lando Calrissian, Skiff Guard Disguise. And the actual scores for the card were an 80, the bubble got an 85, and the figure got a 90 for an overall score of 82.3. So the only thing that brought it down was the card. So yeah, that's what I'm talking about. if this card is an 80, I need to use this as a reference, a visual reference for myself, and judge all of my other cards against this one. If I have cards that are in better shape than this, I will definitely send this in. So let's just take a moment to admire the beautiful lot that we got today from CAS. And I absolutely love getting these action figures back and unboxing them for you, because it's both nerve-wracking and I feel like I get more experienced and learn so much about each figure, the conditioning, and appraising my own figures before I decide to send these guys in. And stay tuned for the end of the episode, because I am giving one of these away. So now for the question that I posed earlier. Is action figure grading a scam? So I posed that question both to my Patreon group and to my YouTube members group, as well as people on Twitter. So this one is from Wampa Hug on Patreon, and he says, toy grading is a standard. It's basically based on an opinion or opinions of a few people. You can agree or disagree with this. If you disagree, you're in luck, because you'll end up saving quite a bit of money. But if you're an archivist and would like to sell your collection for a premium or not to like-minded people, grading is the way to go. Bear in mind, it's a gamble. Low grades can often lead to low demand and potential loss, which is true. By the way, if toy grading is a scam, other grading companies for comic books, trading cards, video games, and music media should also be labeled as such. For you non-grader out there, my question to them is, what makes them the expert on determining what is mint, near mint, or fair quality? And those are great points there, Wampa. And indeed, if we are labeling the toy grading as a scam, then comics, card grading has to be labeled as such as well. But before we get into what I think, let's hear from some more viewers. And a viewer named Jacob sent in this video.
I don't have much background or knowledge in that area, but my personal opinion is no, I don't think that the grading is a scam. I'm sure there are people out there who claim to be graders and maybe are scamming, but I think overall, I think it's a legit business. I think it's personal preference to the collector if they want to get their items graded for, a personal preference, to check out their collection as a whole and see what it could be worth. Personally, for me, my collection is invaluable. It's something that I have in my possession. A lot of it is recollecting from my childhood. So it's sort of a memory or nostalgia type of thing.
And thanks, Jacob, for letting us hear your opinions on that. So next up, we have a tweet from Reynolds Reviews. Since it's now called X and it's not called Twitter, is it still called a tweet? Let me know in the comments what I need to be calling that from now on. Reynolds Review says, is it a scam? I'd say no. But I also certainly don't think it guarantees authenticity or skyrocket the value of an item like some collectors seem to think. So I think that's a super interesting thought. And to the last point that Reynolds says, I think that it's the closest thing to authenticity that you're going to get, short of going back in time and pulling that figure off the assembly line, because you have a group of experts, not just one person, but a group of experts looking at each individual toy. It's not just one person looking at a toy. It's a group of people looking at it and then judging it based on that. And yeah, these people are experts in their field, or so I've been told. And on the second part of it, the skyrocketing value, I have thoughts on that as well. And you might agree with me, Reynolds, about what I'm going to say later on. But we're going to get into that after hearing from a couple more viewers. So we get into another tweet from Biker Scout Kev. And he says, it's not a scam. It's a personal choice. I look at it as just someone else's opinion. At the end of the day, these graders are just people and cannot possibly know what every toy and every line should look like or accessories they came with, so mistakes happen. It's inevitable. You're right. I have seen it where mistakes do happen, but like I said, I have talked to CAS before, and I'm not defending any graders. I'm just telling you what I learned. They do have experts. So let's say you're looking at a Star Wars line. They bring in the Star Wars experts. If you have Masters of the Universe, they bring in their specific Masters of the Universe people. If they don't know about that figure, then they will send in experts to look at the figure. And you can look at that interview that I did with CAS I'll put the link either up here somewhere or down in that description. So that way you can see that interview. It was really in-depth. And I did ask them the tough questions. So if you really want to check that out, please do. And now let's hear from a monkey lizard who ended up here on Earth. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Salacious Rum.
Yeah. Hi there, Joey, Padawan collector. I know you were curious about grading and what us collectors think about grading. Well, here at the Salacious Rum Grading Company, we are very pro grading. Salacious! How many of these have I got to shove into these plastic boxes? These are only cheap figures. Why are we sticking them into these plastic boxes? And then you know, we put those little mug lizards in the plastic box, we get loads more money, Penny. The space bananas. Remember the space bananas. We get the figures for 2 or 3 quid. Buy the cases, shove them in, sell them for 100 quid. Put quids in. Salacious! How many space bananas am I getting? I'm getting bored. We're shoving these figures in these plastic boxes all day long now. Penny, keep going. I'm interviewing someone, Penny. Get off.
Who can argue with a monkey lizard? No one. So we heard from some great collectors, but as far as answering why it's a scam, well, I didn't hear any hard numbers. I didn't hear any facts or real hard research to back up any claims. And as you guys know, I am hardcore about research. So if anyone makes a claim, especially that grading is a scam, anyone has to come with very hard numbers and very hard facts for me to absorb that knowledge and take that into consideration as my own. So let me give some insight on how grading could be a scam. I'm going to use the most common argument that I hear, and I'm going to read from some of my notes so I get this right. Grading causes prices to go up, causing those who can afford to collect items to be priced out. So I'm not here to be an advocate for the grading companies or for grading itself. Like I said, I really like to go off the facts and off the knowledge that I hear, and if it makes sense logically, I adopt it. I'm also not here to detour or to compel anybody to grade. That's up to you. Let's analyze that statement that grading causes prices to go up, pricing people out. Let's analyze that statement. Grading causes prices to go up. So let's take an action figure that is higher in price, and let's use the 1985 Luke Skywalker in Stormtrooper disguise. So an average price for this figure in a condition that would be grade worthy is about $350 to $450 in the market today. That's quite a high price already. Now, collectors don't have to choose to pay this price for a loose figure at all. Okay, let's start there. Collectors can always pay less than that, but they have to consider condition, right? Because the average market price is saying a good condition figure is $350 to $450. Lesser condition, $250. Collectors can buy that all day long if they choose to. Collectors can even pay less money if they choose to buy that figure without that expensive solid black Imperial blaster, making the figure about $180 to $200 if it's in okay condition, maybe not with the helmet, maybe not with the blaster, but they can buy the figure all day long at a lower price, lower condition, if they choose to. So there is a choice that collectors have. Collectors have another choice by not paying the $450 that some sellers say this figure is worth. And if no one buys it at $450, that is going to eventually force sellers to try $400. And if nobody buys it at $400, they're going to go down to $350 and so on and so forth until they find collectors that are willing to pay a price. And that's finding the market value. And it's the same after a figure gets graded. And smart collectors are going to research data points to find out where that market value is after a figure gets graded. And smart collectors belong to groups and they talk to other collectors who affirm or reject prices that are put up. So once a figure is graded, obviously it's given a grading score, and based on that score, it's more desirable to a collector if it's a very high grade figure. And if it's a high grade figure and a figure that's desirable, that will command a higher price, and some collectors that are willing to pay those high prices. And I think that's where you see the average collector get shocked about those high prices, because obviously those high grade scores like a 90 or a 90 plus, that commands a higher value because of those figures and because of how rare it is to find those figures in that pristine state. And collectors will buy at those high prices in a strong market economy. And if it's a weak market economy, those high prices will start chipping down slowly and slowly, like what we have today. So those once high prices for a Luke Skywalker graded 85, that once went for $1,300, in a weak market economy such as today, you see those same prices being sold for about $900 all the way down to $750. But how and why that price? So that takes us to the second part. It prices all the other collectors out. And bringing us back to the original question, is grading a scam? So a dollar amount will only make a data point valid if the current market price is near an average. And who sets that market price? Not the grading companies, it's the collectors themselves. But here is what I want you to be cautious about. There are anomalies in data points, and there are fake data points. And that comes from data points of figures being sold really high above the market. You know those sold posts on eBay that you see that you can just tell who would pay for that? But the smart collectors who do talk to each other will look at those data points and talk to each other, and they will say, there's something wrong with the collection of this data. Watch out for these sellers. And you have to be on the lookout for these false data points. And that's why it is so important to join Facebook groups who look at these anomalies and who report about it. And if you're thinking about getting into collecting graded, you have to be aware of the current market prices, and especially the general average price of each figure being sold. And that's when you start seeing averages and trends start to form. It's a little bit of legwork to do, but honestly, if you're getting into grading, that is a part of the hobby and a part of this little niche called grading. So seeing that collectors set the market prices as a whole group, and to protect yourself as a consumer, you have to know the market trends, much like the trends in the stock market. So would you define that as a scam? Well, some would, but no, it's completely legal. That's defined as a free market economy. And that's where consumers set prices based on desirability. So in a nutshell, grading is not a scam. It's not like a Ponzi scheme or some weighted dice that is trying to tip the odds not in your favor. When it comes to collecting and choosing whether or not to grade, it's really your collection. It's your rules. So you can do whatever you want with your collection. There are no guidelines that anyone has to follow, unless you're in some strict collecting group that has bylaws you have to follow. When it comes to collecting, it's subjective, it's freeform, and grading is the same way. But is there a logical or numeric reason that grading would be a scam? Not that I could find, nor could I find any court cases where a judge or a jury ruled it as a scam or infringing on the public rights, whether they be civil or capital. But what do you think? Even if you don't grade, I want to know why you don't grade. And there is no right or wrong answer. 2 years ago, I didn't even know that grading existed. But because I was curious, I tried it out. And I found the process super enjoyable because it took my level of collecting to a higher level. I not only needed to know about the figure, its history, and the accessories they came with, but I needed to know the market value and how other figures would compare in that condition. That way, I can get a high grade. And I don't do it for the money. I do it so I can research the heck out of these figures, know their history, and try to get the best figures as possible. But yes, the market research and the market trends, that's part of the enjoyment for these figures to get graded. So thank you to all my Patreon members, YouTube members, and members on Twitter who sent in questions for us to look at. And if you're interested in getting the item that I'm going to give away, it is this guy right here, the Ian McDiarmid Emperor that I got signed over at ICCCCon. So in a future episode coming up very soon, I'm going to announce this as a giveaway. So stay tuned for that episode so that way you know the information on how to enter. So if you found this video interesting, please give it a like. That does support the channel. And please consider subscribing to see more content from me. And to make these videos possible, please visit the links in my description. You can also visit my website at thepadawancollector.com, where you will find my merch shop with some new and cool items, plus all my digital downloads of my collector checklist. And all those prices are half off. And for visiting my website, please get this free gift, a visual checklist, as well as items that you may need to protect your collection. You can also support me by becoming a member on Patreon for some great perks. You also get early access to videos. Or if you want to keep your support right here on YouTube, hit the join button below the screen and become a member for some amazing perks as well, and also early access to videos as well. I thank everyone who supports my channel. Without your help, these videos would not be possible. And on next week's episode, and we got another box back from CAS. So join me on next episode as we unbox this and find out what grades I get as I get closer to completing the entire run, graded. And as always, my friends, thank you, and I will see you next time.
If you're new to the channel, check out the welcome video, or just check out the next episode. And please subscribe if you want to follow the journey. And remember, there is no shame in being a Padawan.